U.S. President Donald Trump last week finally vocalized his decision on the Iran nuclear deal, which he was supposed to certify by the end of last week. President Trump chose not to certify that Iran was complying with the deal and warned he might ultimately terminate it, saying the goal is to ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. But he gave the U.S. Congress 60 days to decide whether to reimpose economic sanctions on Tehran that were lifted under the deal. U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement had been anticipated, though he had given several hints before what he was going to say.
I am announcing our strategy, along with several major steps we are taking to confront the Iranian regime's hostile actions and to ensure that Iran never, and I mean never, acquires a nuclear weapon.
He said in his speech that his goal is to ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon, even if other countries already believed it did not have any. And then he brought in the North Korea connection.
There are also many people who believe that Iran is dealing with North Korea. I am going to instruct our intelligence agencies to do a thorough analysis and report back their findings beyond what they have already reviewed. By its own terms, the Iran deal was supposed to contribute to regional and international peace and security. And yet, while the United States adheres to our commitment under the deal, the Iranian regime continues to fuel conflict, terror, and turmoil throughout the Middle East and beyond. Importantly, Iran is not living up to the spirit of the deal.
While he did not pull the United States out of the agreement, he gave Congress 60 days to decide whether to reimpose economic sanctions and warned that if there was no solution working with Congress and U.S. allies, then the agreement will be terminated. Hours later, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani did not spare Trump in his criticism of the speech, saying manners and attitudes have great importance. U.S. President Trump's speech was full of falsehoods, unfair insults, lies, and fake accusations against the great Iranian nation. During a live television address, he said, "No president can revoke an international deal. Iran will continue to respect it as long as it serves our interests." Defying Trump, Rouhani said Tehran will double its effort to expand the country's defense capabilities, including the country's ballistic missile program, despite the U.S. pressure to suspend it. On the other hand, the EU says Iran's nuclear program is not up to any single country to terminate.
More than 2 years ago, exactly in July 2015, the entire international community welcomed the result of 12 years of intense negotiations on the Iranian nuclear program. 104 pages full of technical details. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA. It is not a bilateral agreement. It does not belong to any single country, and it is not up to any single country to terminate it.
Despite President Trump's positioning of shortcomings on the deal, the leaders of France, Britain and Germany have warned the United States against taking decisions that could harm the deal, such as reimposing sanctions. French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and British Prime Minister Theresa May issued a joint statement in which they said, "We encourage the U.S. administration and Congress to consider the implications of the security of the U.S. and its allies before taking any steps that might undermine the JCPOA, such as reimposing sanctions on Iran lifted under the agreement." The three leaders who had agreed prior to President Trump's announcement to have a common position stressed that they backed the landmark agreement. But they shared the U.S. concerns of Iran's ballistic missile program and regional activities and were working with Washington to address those concerns. Analysts think President Trump will be making a mistake by pulling out of the deal. Russia, on the other hand, says if the United States withdraws from the Iran nuclear deal, it will have extremely negative consequences, and Iraq would likely quit the deal as well. Spain is still waiting on verbal announcement by the Catalan leader Carlos Puigdemont on the region's independence. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy had announced last week that Puigdemont had until 10 a.m. local time on Monday to clarify whether he has or has not declared independence. If he does confirm that he has, then he must on or before Thursday withdraw the declaration, or else the government of Spain would impose direct rule on the region.
The clock ticks on a deadline by the Spanish government on a confirmation on Catalonia's independence. And an unperturbed Carlos Puigdemont makes time to pay tribute to his predecessors, Louis Companys, who was jailed after declaring a Catalan republic in 1934 and was executed by the Franco regime in 1940. Puigdemont has made a symbolic declaration of independence on Tuesday night, only to suspend it seconds later and call for negotiations with Madrid on the region's future. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy has given him until Monday to clarify his position and on Thursday to change his mind if he insists on a split, threatening to suspend Catalonia's autonomy if it chooses independence. The situation has given an otherwise peaceful Spain, which had until a few years ago just come out of an economic crisis. Deputy Prime Minister Soraya Sáenz de Santamaría said on Friday the Spanish economy could grow less than initially expected in 2018 due to uncertainty over Catalonia. The government expects Spain's economy to grow 2.6% in 2018. The wealthy region's intention to break away from the referendum has plunged it into its worst political crisis since an attempted military coup in 1981. A pro-Spain demos held in the capital on Thursday turned into an open street brawl as punches and metallic chairs flew everywhere. Tension has been high between the central government and Catalonia since Puigdemont signed a symbolic declaration of independence last Tuesday, citing the result of an October 1 referendum which had been declared illegal by Madrid. Once again, the EU has waded in. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker says he does not want Catalonia to become independent, as it would encourage other regions to do the same and make governing the EU too complicated. During a speech he delivered at the University of Luxembourg, he joked that he did not want the European Union to count dozens of members in 15 years because of various territories breaking away from EU members. Political tensions aside, Catalonia is headed to the beach over the weekend to enjoy warm temperatures and sunny skies before facing another politically charged week.
You're watching Diplomatic Channel. Still ahead, we speak to the Danish ambassador to Nigeria, Torben Getterman, on his impressions of the country and how excited he is working with Nigeria's young people to create a better nation. Please stay with us.